with 7 minutes left, up 6 with 2:50 left, were those opportunities to kind of close the game out?
Yeah, he had a chance at the line, up 4 with Joe at the line with 2 shots. And, you know, when I look at our free throws, that certainly stings. I thought our guys, they played hard enough and they tightened it up defensively. They scored so many early that I thought we tightened it up. But, you know, down the stretch, the ability to make free throws, to make good decisions. We had Anthony in a post up and we threw it away. Those are costly, and they made some big plays. I mean, that obviously the 3 to win it, and they're so fast down the floor that they you relax for a second and they're going to get some action. So heck of a game. I mean, it was an intense game, an intense setting, good for certainly both teams. And I'll say this out of respect for Shaka. It stings to lose, but when you lose to someone that you respect and that they're a friend of yours, it's a little easier because they do things the right way. Our program does things the right way, and I can stomach it because I think it's going to be good for our program, certainly, if we learn from it. And we know we got some issues we got to improve, but hats off to a heck of a program and a friend who can coach the heck out of the game, and we'll grow from it, and then we'll move on.
You mentioned, Tony, that over here, that last 3 by Graham, the dagger there that gave them the lead. It looked like Anthony was right on him. He launched it about
London? Yeah, I think it was London.
Oh, it was London on him.
Yeah.
And the shot came from like 3 feet behind the line.
Right.
Was that about as good a defense as you could have hoped for in that situation?
We tried to switch it, and again, I'll have to watch it on tape, but he was pretty close to it. Now, they got a great 3. It was a good action they got earlier that hurt us in the corner, but we had the guy we wanted at the line, and hopefully we're going to go up 1, and maybe that makes it feel a little different. But, big shot. I think they hit 2 out of 3 big ones down the stretch, and pretty well defended, yeah. And it was an NBA 3, and, I mean, that's all you can ask for. Maybe we could have met him a little sooner, but there's a lot of action going on, and he stepped up and made him. He's a heck of a player.
Coach Bennett here in the back. With all the hype and anticipation this game had, minus the result in your case, is that kind of the way it should have been in your mind between 2 ranked teams playing for the first time since 1998, you guys?
Just the excitement?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great for, again, the state, good for college basketball, I guess, in our own little world. I don't know if Kentucky cares too much about this game or other programs, but it was certainly a good atmosphere. You had to play at a high level. A lot of mistakes, certainly on our part when you look at the turnovers. Wasn't a perfect game on either side, but I thought it was good. I knew this going in, it was going to be very good for us, and that I knew. And we've got work to do, but we'll grow from it, as I mentioned earlier. And it was the excitement leading up to it certainly was there, and it didn't. I don't think it disappointed in terms of the quality of the game and the energy in the building.
Tony, over here on your left, going back to crunch time, I think Joe's last 4 touches were, he missed the 2 free throws and missed a couple of shots, had the air ball. I mean, were they good shots? Were you happy with the possessions, the decision-making there down the stretch?
Yeah, he got a charge, too. I don't know. I'd take a look at that. But no, that, again, decision-making down the stretch, they've put so much pressure on you defensively that, in the way the emphasis on the rules, you like to try to get aggressive and maybe get a hands-on call, and that's why I think Joe tried to drive on that one. But we got a couple of poor shots. Justin had one, and I think Joe had one. They did a good job defensively, but that's where if we could have spread it and attacked a little bit. But they're hard to get by, and perhaps I could have called a timeout and run a set at that time. But I'll take a look at that. But no, I wish we'd have gotten better shots. But even that being said, just the ability to, again, step to that free throw line or make a solid pass, and you put them in a tougher situation.
You're 1 for 8 on threes. Obviously, Evan wasn't available. You lost 2 3-point shooters from last year's team. Are you concerned about your 3-point number of 3-point shooters on this team?
Yeah, that's with Evan. He had a concussion being out. I knew against pressure, sometimes if you can just punch the gap and kick it, and London's a better shooter than he's showing. I don't know if he's excited. He's got a lot of – he's hitting the backboard first sometimes before he's hitting the rim, but – certainly Joe can shoot it, London and Evan, and so I knew that was going to be a concern. Now that quickness would have been a challenge for Evan if we'd have played him at the 3, but I like him as a threat, and just a couple. I don't think we're going to set the world on fire with our 3-point shooting or shoot that many, but you need to have a threat there, and that can open it up inside because, we got some guys who can do some things that way.
Coach, to your right, Mike played. I guess he got that third foul in the second half. Didn't see him again.
Right.
What was the matchup you were seeing, and one of the reasons you made that call?
Well, I thought Darion really was so active and so quick, and we needed stops. There you are. And he gave us a great lift, whether it's blocking shots, because, again, sometimes our defense wasn't great because they come at you, they're going downhill, and then having a guy who's so quick off the floor and can bother shots was our last line of defense, and he helped us a lot with that. And then, again, he got some offensive rebounds and kept some things alive for us. And I thought, perhaps I could have played Mike, but I thought we needed stops. We needed stops with Akil and DA, and they could sometimes when they went to their 4-guard lineup, Akil could match up, and it just worked out. And I thought DA played well enough. But they'll all have their chances, that's for sure.
Additional questions for Coach Bennett over here. Coach, there were 48 combined team fouls today. Did you feel maybe like the amount of whistles kind of impeded the flow of the game a little bit at all? Or?
Yeah, I think the shot clock did too. We had so many malfunctions. There was a lot of stopping and starting. There was stuff on the floor at halftime. Again, the officials are charged with calling things a little. There's some points of emphasis, and they're doing the job. That's hard. You know what I mean? Especially when there's contact, things are quick. There's some calls I disagree with. There's some calls I agree with. I think they're doing the best they can in that situation, and you got to be a better free throw shooter because if they're going to go, we got to the line 33 times and did not cash in, and obviously they didn't combine. Wasn't a real good free throw shooting game for either team, but there's a lot of stoppages with this new emphasis on the rules, and we'll just have to keep trying to adjust. And I think the officials, the players, everybody will try to adjust and play it the right way.
Tony, Travion Graham was one of the few guys for VCU that was able to get going offensively, especially down the stretch. What was it about him that made him such a difficult matchup and some of the shots he hit?
Right. He, as I said, I thought our defense tightened up. It got better because they really had too many buckets early on us, and didn't even start the half. But they're effective. They have versatility. When all of a sudden they slide him to the 4 and he plays 4 guards, there's some mismatches. Now we're pretty mobile on the with Akil and all that, so we did a decent job. But he gets some stuff in a lot of different ways. But I think when he slides to that 4 spot, they become offensively very hard to guard, and you got to try to take advantage of it defensively. But he can get to the rim, he can offensive rebound, and then he can put the dagger in you like he did with his 3-ball.
Tony, you mentioned some of the decisions late. How much is there mental fatigue as well as physical fatigue facing that for 40 minutes?
Yeah, I think probably, early season, you could see some of the rust on, Malcolm hasn't played. That's a different style that you're going against. They're constantly after you. But, boy, we prepared hard and trained hard to try to be ready for it. And at times it showed and at times it didn't. But it's a game for the mentally strong. I've heard Coach Knight say it so many times. It's a neck-up game. You got to have neck-up players, meaning when they're fatigued, they play with their mind, and that's where decisions and just reactions, anticipation, knowing when to turn things down, that's what separates solid teams from really good teams.